Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 5, Text number 9. Yada mano hridaya granthirasya karmanubadho druda ashlateta tada jana samparivartate smat Muktah param yatyatihaya hetum. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. When the strong knot in the heart of a person implicated in material life due to the results of his past action is slackened, one turns away from his attachment to home, wife, and children. In this way, one gives up the basic principle of illusion, I and mine, and becomes liberated. Thus one goes to the transcendental world. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. When by associating with sadhus and engaging in devotional service, one is gradually freed from the material conception due to knowledge, practice, and detachment, the knot of attachment in the heart is slackened. Thus one can get freed from conditional life and become eligible to return home back to Godhead. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. So we are reading in this chapter Lord Rishabhadeva's teachings to his sons. In the last few verses, Rishabhadeva has been telling how the conditioned soul becomes implicated in this material world, becomes entangled in this material world, and all of that begins with the illusion of I and mine. And then, particularly, evam manaha karma vasham prayunkte avidyayatman upadhiyamane pritirnayavan mai vasudeva. And then in the very last verse, in the very previous verse, Pumsahastriya mithuni bhavametam tayor mito hrudaya granti mahuhu. Rishabhadeva described that how there is the attraction between the man and woman in this material world, and that ties a hard knot in their hearts which binds them to material world and to the material activities. So far, Rishabhadeva was describing about entanglement, hard knot, becoming tied, becoming illusioned. And in today's verse, he gives a solution how that knot can be slackened. Ashlathetha, to loosen that granthi. Yada mano hridaya granthir asya karmanubadho drudhaha ashlathetha. Now that granthi, which is a granthi in the heart, it's an attachment in the heart. And that attachment pulls us, binds us, anchors us. We have experienced that, some of you young devotees who have just joined the temple, what you must have gone through when you were leaving your home. All of us experience that. And that knot in the heart with the Athagraha Kshetra Sutapta Vitthai, as he has described, my home, my family, my parents. It was a knot, it was tight, and it was holding us and pulling us, and maybe sometimes even now pulls us. So it's a knot in the heart, Hridaya Granthi. Granthi is a knot. Yadha mano Hridaya Granthi Rasya, in the person, and Karmanubhaddha Drudha Ashlateta. Karmanubhaddha. And that bond, that knot, gives us a certain conception of life. This is my family, this is my home, this is my father, this is my mother, this is my wife, this is my children, this is my wealth. And that conception of I and mine further drives us to reinforce that and amplify that and expand that. I should make my house bigger, I should make my relationship stronger and sweeter. And then we begin to act, and then there are reactions for these works. Any activity, when we act unconstitutionally, it brings a reaction. This is a principle. Just like we are citizens of a state, of a city, of a state, of a nation. And the nation has certain laws. And when we break the laws, immediately there is a reaction on that. A thief steals something, immediately the police laws, the police force begins to act on him. He cannot be any more peaceful. Say for instance, I walk down to the parking lot and I see a car parked and I open the door is open. Someone has not locked the door. And I get into the car and I see the ignition key is also there. And I look around, slip into the seat, turn on the ignition, pull up, and start driving out on the streets. I can be driving maybe for an hour or so. The owner of the car will come. He'll say, hey, my car is missing. He'll inform the security, he'll inform the police. And in a matter of few hours, the police will be behind me. Imagine I had gone down and it was my own car, and I had left the car open, the ignition key was there or it was in my pocket. I open the car, drive, and I'm driving in the streets. Nothing will happen to me. Because I am the owner of the car and I'm using the car for my purpose, police action won't be there. Moment I use somebody else's car, immediately the whole police force will come after me. Because I am acting not according to my constitution. Constitution in the sense, this is a very beautiful word that Srila Prabhupada used. Constitutional nature, constitutional position. Constitutional means according to my makeup, according to my position, according to my real nature, position. So in this world, we are all citizens of a country and we are bound by the laws of the country. And we break that, the country's police force and other law enforcement departments will come after us. That's the principle. In the same way, when we come into this world, this universe into our life, when we take on this world, take on our life in this world, we seldom think, is there a law of the universe? And I am part of this universe, I am a citizen of this universe. Not only I am a citizen of the state, just like a state has certain laws, and then the country has certain laws, and in the same way the universe has certain laws, and I am a citizen of the state, country, and a part of the universe. And so I am governed by those universal laws. What are those laws? And if I am breaking those laws, the forces of the universe will come after me. And that's the karma anubaddha. Karma anubaddho, druda karma anubaddha. So, according to our constitution, I am a part and parcel of this universe. And the universe is created by a creator. And the creator, when he created the universe, had created some laws. And that's how the world is running. And should I not know those laws, and should I not align myself and act according to my position, my constitutional position? So, Shastras describe, actually what's happening to us is that here there is a combination of material energy and a spark of spiritual energy. The material energy is part of the universe, and I am a spark, I am a living entity. I am actually the real living entity and not this body. The body comes and goes, just like today we wear, when it is cold, we wear sweater. When the cold weather goes away, we remove all these things. We want to be without any warm clothing. We change our dress according to seasons. So in the same way, the living entity is taking on different bodies. We are actually, so this is what first thing that Krishna helps us to identify in the Gita, that we are talking about my problem. Arjuna was talking about his problem and his family and whether he should fight, what's his duty. So first let's understand who we are. It's a fact for us also. We are talking about my duty, my home, my country, what I should do, how I can be happy. First let's understand who we are. So that's how Krishna begins in the Bhagavad Gita. Who are we? Let's understand. We are trying to make ourselves happy. Let's first understand who we are. If we have a misunderstanding that I am my shirt and I'm trying to make my shirt happy, it's an illusion. So, getting down to the reality, we are a spirit soul. That's how Krishna begins his teachings. So that spirit soul, according to certain laws of the universe, has become implicated in this body, and the body, through the body we are acting. And now there is a further, closer, deeper analysis. What is driving this body to act in different way? There is a bonding, there is a Hridaya Granthi, an attachment. And further analysis of that, how did that attachment come about? It has come about with the sense of enjoyment, I and mine. We'll come to that verse or that word also in this shloka. So, karmanubhaddho dhrudha hridaya granthir mano hridaya granthihi, and that is ashlateta, can be slackened. So just like if there's a hard knot and we are trying to, sometimes untie something, you work on it and then it becomes loosened, and then you keep working on it and then you can untie it. So there is a way to loosen this Hridaya Granthi. That's the hope. You see, in all the previous verses, Rishabhadeva was saying, this is going to happen, this Granthi is going to become stronger, it's going to tie you down. Now, in this verse onwards, he's giving us relief. Ashlathetha, how it can be loosened. Tada, at that time, yatha manohrudaya grantirasya, when is ashlathetha, then tada jana samparivartate asmat. Muktaha param yati atihaya hetum. Janaha, the living entity, the conditioned soul, samparivartate. Asmat samparivartate. This attachment, this illusion, which was actually binding and causing all the hridaya granthi, samparivartate, now begins to turn around. And muktaha paramyati, becomes freed from the hridaya granthi, and paramyati, and yati goes or achieves, goes towards param, transcendental situation. Atihaya hetum, and hetum, the cause of all this binding, atihaya, completely giving up that ultimate, that basic cause. We start moving towards, the living entity starts moving towards transcendence. That atihaya hetum, the very cause, he gives up. So, when the strong knot in the heart, drudha hridaya grantihi, of a person, janaha, implicated in material life due to the results of past action, karmanubhaddaha, is slackened, ashlathetha, one turns away, samparivartate, from his attachment to home, wife and children, asmat samparivartate. In this way, one gives up the basic principle of illusion, hetum, I and mine, and becomes liberated, muktaha. Thus one goes to the transcendental world, param yati. And now, Srila Prabhupada begins the purport. Here you see, Rishabhadeva has said that there is a way to slacken it and loosen it and then turn away from the very root cause. That's the meaning of atihaya hetum. From the very, in this way, one gives up the basic principle of illusion. Now we are addressing the very basic, the cause of all this mess we are in. I and mind, and becomes liberated. And Prabhupada further elaborates, because Rishabhadeva is going to talk about that in the next verse in a very elaborate way. But Prabhupada is beginning to say that this happens by a process. And the process begins by meeting, by associating with a sadhu. See the purport? When, by associating with sadhus and engaging in devotional service, one is gradually freed from the material conception due to knowledge, practice and detachment. The knot of attachment in the heart is slackened. So, Prabhupada often talked about process of Krishna consciousness. We see that. That is because, Prabhupada explains, there is a verse that Sanatana Goswami writes, which becomes all the Goswami's writings become the basis for our philosophy. And that's how Srila Prabhupada has developed all these purports on the basis of the Goswami's teachings. So Sanatana Goswami brings up one very interesting statement in the Hari Bhakti Vilasa. Chaitanya Charitamrita quotes that, Prabhupada quotes that. Yatha kanchanatam yati kamsyam rasa vidhanataha. Yatha kanchanatam yati. Yati means, same word here also. Mukta param yati, goes or achieves. Here, kanchanatam yati. Kanchana is gold. Kanchanatam yati, achieves goldness or gold properties. Yatha kanchanatam yati. Who achieves kanchanatam properties, gold properties? Kamsyam. Kamsya is bronze, or Prabhupada translates that as the bell metal. Bell metal, kamsyam kanchanatam yati, achieves gold, becomes gold, is transformed into gold. How? Rasa vidhanataha, by a chemical process. Rasa, that's why Rasayana Shastra is chemistry. Remember that in our vernacular languages in our country? Chemistry is called Rasayana Shastra. So, Rasa vidhanataha, by a chemical process. Tatha, in the same way, Diksha vidhanena dvijatvam jayate nrunam. Nrunam, the human beings. Dvijatvam, achieve dvijatvam, becoming enlightened. Dvija, being second born. Dvijatvam jayate nrunam, comes about in the human society. That dvijatvam comes about. How? Diksha vidhanena. So the important word is rasa vidhana and diksha vidhana. Vidhana means a process. So there is a process by rasa vidhana, kamsyam kanchanatam yati. In the same way, diksha vidhanena nrunam dvijatvam jayate. That's why Srila Prabhupada always talks about the process of Krishna consciousness. It's a process, and if we apply that process, it will bring about a certain result. And Prabhupada also used the word, this is a scientific process. Because Prabhupada used this word science. Krishna consciousness is a science, meaning it's not a sentiment. It's not just some kind of a belief. You see, we have to be careful. In Krishna consciousness, Srila Prabhupada teaches us that we have to be very careful. Just recently I saw in our country, people are very devoted to Krishna, but they are devoted to Krishna, but it is sometimes on a sentimental level. What we are trying to do in Krishna consciousness is, by applying the process very carefully as it is given in the Shastra by the Acharyas, and to actually develop that attachment. So, I was very surprised to see an elderly woman in her, must be in her 50, 55, around that. And she's carrying her bags and other things. And she's having one doll of a Krishna in her hand. She's holding and having her bags and other things. And then every few minutes she's saying, like you have a small child and you like a mother does to the child. Something, fondling and shaking her head, And then she is carrying. Now, it's good at least she is showing that to one Krishna doll. It's a, what is that, stuffed doll, stuffed toy like that kind of a doll. And she's holding, and she's feeling that kind of, her husband is there with her and he's not bothered. Maybe he has seen quite a lot of it with his wife. And so sometimes people come up with these kind of things. In a sense, it's okay. She's at least showing that to Krishna. There is some kind of a thing. But as strict, serious spiritualists, we would be very careful to ensure we don't develop some kind of a sentiment like that, but we develop true Krishna conscious attachment. And the proof of that is what Rishabhadeva is saying. Hridaya Granthi Ashlathetha. Whether our Hridaya Granthi is becoming loosened or not. And especially Rishabhadeva has connected that with attraction between man and woman. Whether that attraction is becoming slackened, that is the test. So, that is why it is a scientific process. Scientific process, it's a scientific process. Scientific process means, like say for instance in any science books, the book will tell you make a copper wire, wind it in this way, put it between a magnet and then send some electric power and then it'll develop a torque, like that. It's all described in the science textbook. You go to a lab and you make a copper wire and then you put a magnet and then you will see it turning. You perform that experiment. And you can perform that experiment anywhere in the world. It will work. Exactly as it was predicted in the textbook of science. So because of this predictability and because of this universality, it will work anywhere. So it's not a sentiment that when you pass current through a copper wire and in a magnetic field, it develops a certain torque, it creates a certain force. This is not a sentiment, this is reality. And hence this is called science. In the same way, the process of Krishna consciousness, if it is applied, it will bring the result which is predicted ahead of time in the Shastra. Like Hridaya Granthi, Druda Hridaya Granthi, Ashlateta. And we all saw that happening. And we are continuing to see that happening as we practice the process of Krishna consciousness. That's why Srila Prabhupada also explained, Diksha is a process. We usually think Diksha is a ceremony. Have you taken Diksha? No, not yet. Why? I'm waiting another 6 months. Because the ceremony has not had. No, that's okay. So Prabhupada clarifies, Diksha is a process by which one can awaken transcendental knowledge and put an end to the karmic reactions. That is called Diksha. Diksha is a process. And so Prabhupada said, when we start reading Srila Prabhupada's books, and when at some point we were reading so many other books, and then at some point we started feeling, this is the right thing. This is what I should seriously practice. And slowly all other things that we had read, we had understood, we started putting aside. They are not authentic. It's not coming from the Shastra. If something coming from the Shastra, okay, we accept that. But what Prabhupada gives is very authentic. We start developing that kind of a conviction and start following that. That is the beginning of Diksha. And a ceremony formalizes that. So, Diksha does not begin at the time of the ceremony. Diksha begins when we make our determination. That's why Prabhupada's explanation, your determination is the real Diksha. The ceremony is only a formality. And Prabhupada gave the example in 1922 when he met Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and he had that brief interaction with him. And he asked the question, who will listen? Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur mentioned, young men like you should spread the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna consciousness all over the world. And Prabhupada asked, Abhay Charande asked the question, who will listen to you? We are a slave country, we have to be freed, that's the most important thing. And then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur countered that with Shastric reasoning, and Abhay Charande was hearing all these things. And then he came out of that meeting. And then he felt, oh, this is very special. This sadhu is very special. He has got nice understanding. He's from the Chaitanya Sampradaya. That Sampradaya is in the right hands of a very sound scholar. He felt a kind of a certain kind of an attraction and an appreciation. And Prabhupada said, that is real initiation. That's my initiation began there. You see. So, and 10 years later, 1933, this first meeting happened in 1922. 1933, he got formally initiated. You see. So, initiation is a process. Krishna consciousness is a process. And that word idea of a process comes from Diksha Vidhanena. Dvijatvam jayate nrunam. It is by a process. That is why we applying ourselves seriously to this process is very important. And when we apply, and how does the process begin? When, by associating with sadhus and engaging in devotional service, one is gradually freed from the material conception. This is what happened to all of us, isn't it? How Srila Prabhupada, by his teachings, by his practice he has given us, it affected our conception. We were thinking, I belong to this house, I belong to this family, I'm this man, I'm a woman, I'm this, I'm that, I should become like that, I should be... All these are material conceptions we had. When we started practicing Krishna consciousness, that conception got shaken up. Hey, what are we? I'm a spirit soul. In this life I'm thinking I'm this family, this belongs to this is my father, this is my mother, this is what I should do. In my previous life I had another life situation. I thought that's my home. Another previous life, another situation. How many lives I have had? And how many lives I will have in the future? You see how the very basic conception was shaken up. That's what atihaya hetum. See, what's so wonderful is, Vyasadeva wrote 5,000 years back the Bhagavatam. Rishabhadeva spoke these instructions probably a few million years before. And today it is working in our hearts. Because that original message is being delivered in its content and with full spiritual potency by our parampara through Srila Prabhupada. It's not a small thing. That true Vedic knowledge in its purest form is being made available by Srila Prabhupada. And if we apply this process, it will work. It has already worked to some extent. And if we continue to do that, it will continue to work, and Mukta Paramyati also will happen one day. This is the important principle. And this is a science, and this works by a process. This is not some kind of a sentiment. It is genuinely awakening that transcendental knowledge genuinely bringing that awareness of our constitutional position. I am not this body. I should not be interested in bringing labha, puja, pratishta, bringing glory to this body and working for those things. But I should be conscious that this is all illusion in this material world. Honor, dishonor. It so happened once in 1974, I think. There was a temple in Cleveland in US, in America. And some altercation, something happened. There were a few devotees, American devotees, young bhaktas with a dark skin. They had gone there and, they got discriminated a little bit and they became disturbed because the white devotees discriminated against the black devotees. And some of these black devotees wrote to Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada said, yes, it is wrong on the part of the white devotees to have made that discrimination, thinking that I am the body, I am white American, you are black American, you are different, I am different. It is wrong. Then Prabhupada wrote, it is also wrong for you to think, he's writing to the black devotees, it is also wrong for you to think that I am a black devotee and I got insulted and I should not have been insulted, should I be treated with respect. Even that is another kind of an illusion. They are also in illusion, you are also, don't be in illusion. They should not be in illusion, you should also not be in illusion. You are not black body, they are not white body, we are not any of these things. We are a spirit soul. You see how nicely Srila Prabhupada pointed out these things? So, like this, if we take to this process with seriousness and with sincerity, then this process will work. One should not be disturbed. Sometimes, because it is said here, karma anubaddha. We living entities, we are bound by previous actions. Because of our previous action, we got a male body, somebody got a female body, somebody got an intelligent body, somebody got a simple body, not so intelligent. Whatever, different. We are all bound by our previous karmas. It's a very strong force. So that strong force of karma may push us to act in some ways, sometimes, against the principles of Krishna consciousness, but we should not be disturbed by that. Once again, we should collect ourselves, become determined, and continue to apply the process. And after a certain while, all those disturbances will go away, because ashlathetha. Slowly that attachment, it is getting loosened up. It will work. And then, after a certain while, we'll feel, this is not disturbing me. Oh, how much it was disturbing me before. We'll feel that relief. That relief Krishna will bless us with. Guru and Krishna will bless us with that relief. But important is to apply ourselves to the process, because this is a science and it will work. And if you don't apply the process, it will not work. But due to culture, we may have a certain appreciation of all these things, going to temple, going to Krishna, mandir, all these things. And some amount of a sentiment will develop, which is good. But we, as serious practitioners, especially the Gaudiya Vaishnavism, about serious practitioners, we want to develop real love of God, not some sentimental love of God. For that, a rigorous application of the process is essential. That is what Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, our paramparas, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu brought that out. But soon after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time, the next few generations, they misunderstood that, and again it became sentimentalism, and all the sahajiya and all those things came up. Once again, Bhaktivedanta Thakur again revived that, cleared up all the misunderstanding, wrote books, prepared a solid foundation. And that was practiced very strongly by Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. And that was imparted to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who further wrote more books, continuing the work of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And then Srila Prabhupada made that even more simple for the whole world to appreciate. That's the beauty of Srila. We should learn to appreciate this in Srila Prabhupada's purports and in his lectures. There is a certain timeless freshness in Srila Prabhupada's presentation. There is a certain simplicity. There is a certain freshness. There is a certain spiritual potency. And when we approach Prabhupada's books, when we hear Srila Prabhupada's teachings, in that frame of mind, that spiritual potency will touch our heart and slacken the hard knot of Hridaya Granthi. That's the process that should work. We should not get carried away by some scholarship. And someone gave some class and he quoted this one, something else for so many other things. Sometimes it happens in ISKCON. Devotees read so many other books other than what Srila Prabhupada has given, and then they quote that in the class. So many things he is saying. We should not get bewildered by those things. It's not just some knowledge exchange. It is a spiritual process that has to work. We should be very careful about all these things. We should learn to appreciate that spiritual potency, that straight message that Srila Prabhupada presents in his lectures, in his purports, and learn to see those things. Like here, Prabhupada has written, by associating with sadhus and engaging in devotional service, one is gradually freed from the material conception due to knowledge, practice and detachment. You see how the process works? There is a certain knowledge aspect, there is a certain practice aspect, and there is a certain detachment that comes about. So there is knowledge, practice and detachment. And that's how the process works. If these things are not there, if there is no knowledge, or there is knowledge and no practice, and there is knowledge and practice but there is no detachment, all these things are happen. So our life should be properly guided by Srila Prabhupada's instructions. Very carefully, very thoughtfully, choosing every word Srila Prabhupada has written these purports and these translations. These are very, very valuable. And that knowledge which is otherwise hidden in Sanskrit, rarely understood, now is available in English language for all of us to quickly, easily understand and apply. We'll stop here. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Go Premanand.